one trace. So there's nothing good that can come of it, but you want to try to avoid that risk of generating one trace. This generates half of a trace, which is to say, no trace yet. Okay. That's a pretty good procedure you're going through. You know this car park was not empty of people when you arrived for this gunfight. So what you're having to do here is, it's tricky. The agency is going to have to show up after the fact one way or another to make sure that there's not blood stains all over this car park. But for the most part, mostly taken care of. The bodies are at least loaded up. You have 5 bodies in the truck bed. Maybe that should be enough for now. During this process, you have some time alone, Honeycomb, to look into this passport.
Can I corroborate Dan's story?
There's a problem with all of the notes. First off, the passport itself, since you want to corroborate it, the timeline of when the passport was made, the times the passport was used, and the stamps on the visa, suggests that if he was ever in North Africa, he did it on a different passport, or it's not logged here. There's no sign of it in the passport.
It's not disqualifying.
It's not disqualifying, but the Soviet Union also was pretty buddy-buddy with Africa for as long as it survived, and would have a lot of passport. People would have just been flying back and forth to all kind of places. But he was a mobster. Maybe wanted to stay off the record. The notes at the back are all written in Russian cursive, which even if you know Russian, the Russian cursive is nigh impossible to read without a bit of translation help. But you see that list that I brought up from time to time of people who have died, and he has stricken them off. You find his hit list there at the end. And his hit list includes people that he didn't kill, to your knowledge. Admiral Salmon Aboud from the first case, Michael Woolridge. Eric Mousseau is on the hit list. Gary killed Eric Mousseau. And then Matty Merchant.
Was Admiral Aboud the guy who died suddenly, like he was having a reaction to the fox dye virus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then French Hopkins is not on the list, nor is Anthony Yoder. But on the list, you can quite clearly see the names of Albert Elijah Gabler and Dan Cunningham. They're at the end of this list, and neither has been crossed off yet. Notably, Dan's name is after Gabler's name. And you remember over the walkie-talkie the words that Bogdanov was saying. My client, he wants to save you for last. I'm not allowed to kill you outright, but I may change my mind, he said.
I know I have not seen this list, but we have seen this list before.
Yeah. You went in, you snooped around a room and saw this same list. Dan Cunningham did. When he was snooping around Obadiah Power's office, saw the chapter house boxes. He had written, there was the list printed twice, and he had written idem beside each item that matched up from one list to the other, and was crossing off names as well. You remember that? That was before we left for our long hiatus from the game.
I also seem to recall that we saw this list, but in the Cosmosophers, list of most thetaned dudes.
Yeah. Yeah. The ones who were most thetaned, and the order they were dropping dead. Honeycomb's suspicion was that they were able to predict who would die and when. This power, the power of the angel or whatever from the first case. showed how close to being a spirit, how close to being a soul each of these people were, when it was really just predicting when they would lose their body for good. This is an important little passport of information for Honeycomb. Can we take 5 and then go to a Kachina scene? I want to go grab a bev and then see what Kachina's up to.
All right, go get Beverly.
Sure.